Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. It's time for Owin's Field Report, sponsored by Les Schwab Tire Centers.
Welcome back, everyone. Now, this week is going to be a little interesting. We did lose a day yesterday, and for those that sent messages, I appreciate that very, very much. It's so rare. I think, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's once a year that we don't have a show on a Saturday because of the Rose Festival, and they did a great job here covering all that. But now we're going into a little bit of a heat wave. We're going to find out what's going on from Peyton Major here in just a little bit. It's going to get into the 90s today, 90s tomorrow. It's going to be close to 90s on Tuesday. I mean, it's going to get hot, right? Fishing, it's kind of worth it. I would say that if you can get out early, and that's really kind of the trick, especially right now, for most of the areas on the Columbia below Bonneville, I don't care how low you're going, as long as you got current, it's really been an anchor show this year. Now, that could be for a number of reasons. Could be just overall conditions. It could be that folks are starting to remember how effective sitting on the anchor for springers and summers really can be. If it's plugs, spinners, wobblers. Wobblers have been putting fish on the bank very consistently here in the last 4 or 5 days that I'm aware of. Okay, I actually ran wobblers one day this week when I couldn't get to exactly where I wanted to go to fish spinners. So in the end, if you get out there early enough, get yourself a spot to get on the anchor, you're pretty much dialed. Now, it's going to get hot, and you're probably going to want to get out of there in noon, 1, whatever the heck it might be. But in the end, it's been okay. I wouldn't say that it was great fishing, right? I know that Friday, when they did open it back up for the 2-fish retention hatchery Chinook that is below Bonneville, Friday was very, very slow everywhere. I didn't talk to anyone from all the way up that were fishing where they can now out of their boats, all the way down. I didn't hear of anybody just ripping them. There were certainly some fish caught. I struggled, unfortunately, that particular day. But prior to that, I'll show you some photos, and I wanted to show these photos mainly because of the condition. You know, we had talked about how our fish have pretty much all been tore up this year. The vast majority of our springers had just been tore up. It doesn't matter if it was a wild, if it was a hatchery, if it was a steelhead, if it was a jack. Seems like every single fish is marked up somehow, but take a look at this guy. I mean, he's a full-blown dime, isn't he? No, he's not. Take a look at the next one. I don't even know how this poor guy got by. I mean, his belly was literally tore open where, you know, you can see his intestines going on there. These fish are so resilient. It's amazing to me at how many miles they cover, what their life cycle is like, and how tough these fish are. But look at that poor guy. I mean, just the photo doesn't do it justice. It was, you know, the poor guy just, I hope to heck that he makes it all the way up to where he needs to go. I mean, there's so many sea lions. I mean, we got to get something figured out, but it seems like every fish has been that way. But then, of course, you know, not too much longer after that particular fish was lucky enough to get one that he could take home. And for me, this week, for my success at the very least, was spinners. Old school, sitting on the hook, finding the right slot, if it's a shelf, if it's a wing dam, whatever it is, multiple different locations with a spinner. Get yourself the right current, you got your right spinner. It's been, you know, I'm not going to say on fire, but when you can go out and get a Columbia River Springer, which is that's what that is right there. There were a couple of summers that I saw this week, true summers. It's pretty hard to miss it if you know what you're looking at, spots and tails and all this stuff, and a number of different theories there. But you can pretty much tell the difference between a summer and a springer and cut blood red, just like they're supposed to. So fortunately, it was a good week. I would expect it to continue. Not a lot of numbers over. We're going to get the fish counts now, just to give you an idea of what's going on. Once they go over Bonneville, obviously you don't have a shot like myself below Bonneville. But for the folks on the other side, you know, there's certainly some fish that are still going. It's nice to see some somewhat decent numbers going over the falls at Oregon City now. Temperature is everything there, 17.3. Still quite a ways behind the 10-year average if you were to take a look at that. But in the end, you know, there's been some really good days on the Willamette this week, all down low, just like it's been the last 8-10 years now. But you can see the numbers at Bonneville. They're staying roughly about the same, between that 14 and 2,000 each day, 131 over, and that's why they made the decision to go ahead and let us retain 2 up to the 15th. Now, yes, does it boggle everybody's mind? Yes. Their plan was to protect the summer runs. I mean, there's not a lot of sense made here, but in the end, we're happy for some opportunity. Consistency would be appreciated, maybe. It would be a kind way to put that. But take a look at the shad numbers, and sockeye are now starting to ramp up pretty quickly. And I know we moved on, but if you continue to watch those sockeye numbers, there are thousands that are, if there's only 300 going over Bonneville right now, there are thousands that are hanging out below it before they make their move. So those folks over on the east side, here they come. We only get one down here below Bonneville as of now, at the very least. So we're not going to put any dent in them for you. You got them coming. Hopefully things work out well for all of you on the east side of the state. Looking at the Willamette, tall tides, certainly need to pay attention to that. There has been some consistency on that outgoing turn, right? So the incoming tide, when it peaks out and turns over to go, it seems like on that outgoing tide, it's been an interesting bite. There were some really decent days in the lower Willamette this week. Enough to where I actually kind of thought about going down there, but no. Columbia's open, that's where I'm going. Same thing on the Columbia. You might think that there's plenty of water, and there is. Based on that high tide, up in the 6s, there's certainly some current out there, depending on where you're spending your time, but you still have to play the tides if you're going to be in that lower section of the river. Now, don't forget, here we go, Bonneville, that's the last one there. They have been chopping that off a little bit, and you'll kind of notice that a little bit more as we get further into June, as always. Southwest Washington chapter of the CCA's got a meeting that's coming up. We want to make sure that we get all these out there, so if you have that opportunity, it is Wednesday, June 11th at 6 p.m. You can hang out, learn a little bit. Jim from Looney Cooney, just have him show you how he likes to catch spring Chinook on the Willamette with a Looney Cooney. It'll blow your mind. And don't get behind him. There's another one. I'm just telling you, he's pretty darn good at it. Hatchery Wild, we want to make sure we get this out there as well. The event is coming up. It's the fin clipping party. The kids absolutely love it, and they get out there and they learn a lot about how the hatchery fish and hatchery programs work, and they will always understand that as they are able to vote, for crying out loud, as they get older. Procure, don't forget, send Jason an email over there and have a chance to win that prize pack from Procure each and every week. You do have to enter in each week, though, so just torture him, will you? Just bug him. Make him so that he can't go fishing. I love Jason. All right, let's check in with Peyton Major and find out what's really going to happen here. And nobody knows this better than a meteorologist, right? So I'm not going to try to tell you what you already know. It's going to get hot here real soon.
It's going to get hot, and it's dry. So, yeah, two things we don't really like, at least in early June. Sunday and Monday, first alert weather days, and we haven't issued one of these in quite a while just because it hasn't been that hot. Yesterday we got to 87. Today, though, we're looking at some mid-90s. In some areas, 10 degrees warmer than yesterday afternoon and evening. So this is not extreme or excessive heat. We do not have those warnings over our viewing area, but it is our first taste of the hot weather so far this year. We are also likely to break a record this afternoon, and I'll look at that in just a minute here, but this is all due to a really big area of high pressure that is overhead. High pressure acts like a dome, and it kind of keeps any kind of rain chances away from our region, and that dome of high pressure has continued to scoot a little closer, and now the center of it is right over the west coast. So that's why we're seeing those highs get anywhere from the low to mid 90s anytime after 2 o'clock. I highly recommend you just avoid being outside, especially if you're working or gardening. You do not want to be outside when those temperatures are in the 90s. Same with walking pets or having them outside. Try to do so now for the next maybe couple of hours before it gets too toasty. 96 our forecast high today. Tomorrow 93. There's those records I was mentioning earlier. They're both set in 1955. Daily record today is 94, so we'll likely achieve that, and then 95 tomorrow, so we may get a couple degrees shy of that. We've been tracking some changes, I think, though, the second half of this week. First, I will say, if you want a cool location, the coast is going to be your place, just because we still have that little bit of onshore flow, and that's going to keep things on the cooler side. We won't see onshore flow stretch all the way into those inland locations until late Monday, and so that's when we're really going to start to feel the change. Back into the 80s, I say cooler with quotations because it's still hot, and then really nice by the middle part of the week. Our average high should be in the low 70s. We likely won't see that, maybe just a touch below that actually Thursday, Friday into Saturday. If you're wondering about rain chances, I mean, so are we. It's just not looking too great. Only chance is Friday, maybe next Sunday. So keep on watering, and then also always say hydrate yourself as well today. Really important.
That's a great reminder, no doubt about it. And yeah, it's going to get hot for a couple of days, but looks really nice as things kind of work their way through. Peyton, as always, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
All right, Ryan, real quickly, we have to take a live report. As always, live reports go to the front of the line. I've got Mark from the Dalles with a live report. Mark, first things first, thanks for calling us this morning and sharing some info, but what are you chasing and how's it going?
Springer's right above the Dallas Dam, and it is super slow this morning. There's 10 boats out here, so I'd say there's probably 30 poles, and so far this morning there's a report of 1 fish netted, and it was a hatchery that had to be let go.
Okay, so a few boats, but not great fishing yet.
No,
How's it been up to this point, Mark? Was it better, and then it kind of slowed down, or where are you at on it?
It was a little bit better. Unfortunately for us up here, the wind's been killer for the last, I don't know, week or 2 or 3. So it's only been the last couple of days that the wind hasn't been just ripping. So haven't had a lot of chances to get out the last month anyway.
Gotcha.
Since the reopening, I should say.
Mark, how are you actually fishing?
Trolling, flashers, and spinners, Simons.
Okay.
The one boat that did hook the fish, they were trolling a coon shrimp.
They were trolling a what?
Coon shrimp.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so it doesn't matter what part of the river you're on. It seems like a very effective way to target them with 360s and Simon spinners and a shrimp. Okay, I get that. Mark, thanks for the heads up and the phone call from the Dallas area, chasing those fish real time. We appreciate it, sir. Please feel free to call us back again and share some info. We'd love that. All right, so Dwayne and Abe, don't go anywhere. We're going to try to get to your calls here, so don't go anywhere. We got a good question. One about salmon fishing on the Rogue, which is a bucket list spot for me. Also, a question about sturgeon from Dwayne in Longview. We're going to get to those questions here in just a little bit. But when we come back from this break, I've got Bill Wood. He is the owner of It's Not a Sport, It's an Obsession guide service. We're going to talk walleye and the buy 3, get 1 free deal from Fisherman's Marine. We'll be right back.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by P-Line, because we fish, by Hawken Fishing, perfection in fishing gear, and by Haxton's Canvas and Upholstery, the trusted name of the Pacific Northwest.